Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about?
Hey,
Hey, good people.
hey, it is Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
That is what they do. How y'all doing?
Alive.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Breathing's always good.
Right.
So, what it say? Let everything that have
Have
breath.
breath.
Right there.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Yes.
We definitely thank God for the breath
Yes.
into our bodies.
All day, every day.
That we do.
Every day, all day. So I am here with Fransley Moist. That is my guy. Thank you for hanging out with us in Kitchen Talk. You know what? We just keep doing this thing. We're gonna ride it. Keep riding it. I love it. JT might pop in later. I haven't talked to him this week, actually. Not that I really talked to y'all from Thursday to Thursday.
Nope.
I know, right?
Nope.
Maybe I should do better.
It's fresh. You don't want to have that talk during the week.
Right.
Here for Thursday.
Just a talking Thursday. I love it. And then we have in the kitchen with us by way of the studio back again is
Good to
Dr.
be back.
Susan Baker.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. And see, this is what I
Absolutely.
love about this platform too is you just, have everybody from anywhere and everywhere or just right in your same city.
Right.
And just, and then having good friends that I could be like, look, I want to talk about such and such and so. Can you come on? She's like, oh, sure. I
That's
love it.
because you got good connections.
Right. Good connections.
Yep,
Good connections.
yep,
I love
absolutely.
it. Love it. So, last week we talked about, of course, love, because this is the love month. And people, we have Valentine's Day, folks get married, all kind of stuff go on in February around this love month.
Right.
And don't
And
forget Black History Month.
can I finish?
Oh. Got to love yourself.
You got to love yourself.
Absolutely.
And in loving yourself, you got to love your people.
There we go.
Got to love your people. So also we celebrate Black History Month. And then there are those of us who just celebrate our blackness 365, 66 in the leap year days of the year. So
all day, every day.
But we do take time in February to honor those who have blazed trails, set fire to stuff that needed to have fire set to it, who have given of themselves selflessly, and given everything, like their lives for our freedom, for our ability to just do what we're doing right now. And we honor and appreciate that. And I was thinking that today on FAMU's campus, we had Soledad O'Brien. We had a conversation with her surrounding her producing a documentary on the rebellious life of Rosa Parks. If you have not had a chance to see it, it's streaming on Peacock. It is really, really good. Like, Would you be able to name 3 facts about Rosa Parks outside of the bus boycott?
Number one,
Wow.
she was not a she worked at a sewing factory, I believe. Well, she worked at a
Department. It was a department store,
department
but it was
store.
in the
Department store. Yep.
suit tailoring division.
Yep. So she was a tailor. I could give you that fact. The day that happened was December 1st, 1955. Most people forget that. The day that happened, it was on December.
The day what
I knew
happened?
that.
The day that Rosa Parks did not
Relinquish her seat.
relinquish her seat.
I'm asking you outside of that.
Oh, outside of that.
Mhm.
That her house became a museum.
Okay.
And that her house is actually fully paid for. So she lived in that house without having to pay for it. There was a philanthropist who bought the house for her to live in, and then when she passed away,
was it the one in Detroit?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
So he bought the house for her after she had relinquished her seat, or prior to that, as an act of goodwill or something.
It was an act of goodwill after everything had went down.
Well, way after.
So he said, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and purchase this house for you." And
after
she lived in the house. But again, the house is a museum. I think they tried to move the house somewhere to a new location. I'm trying to figure out where.
It's a brownstone. I don't think they can move it.
It was something about that. I thought they were changing it up in some type of way, but that's another interesting fact, that the house that she lived in is actually a museum.
So
how many facts? That was 3?
Yeah,
that was 3. You good.
You got 3. You can't talk about the bus boycott.
Well, another piece is that she just to add a little extra bonus, she continued the movement after sitting down. Most people think that she was an activist prior to that. She was not an activist.
She actually was, friends.
Not technically. Well, maybe I missed that, but
and then how do you define that?
Yeah, I think
she actually was. And I guess that's to my point is we didn't or don't know a whole lot out of what's in the history books of her just kind of starting the movement of the boycott.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch this documentary, it's like, oh my God, she was a giant in civil rights. A giant. So I encourage anybody to watch it. It was really, really good. Sometimes we watch documentaries and you're like,
yeah.
But it was really, really, really good. It was put together so well.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm definitely promoting that. It was excellent. And she came and talked about it with us. I feel like Marvin from last week about to lose power.
You gotta stay connected.
But yeah, so we will definitely visit that or visit Black History probably next week. But this week, I want to talk about matters of the heart.
Yes.
And so I tried to be kind of funny about it, so people wouldn't, they got to tune in to see actually what the matters of the heart is. Is we talking about love? Is we talking about relationship? We talking about the whole for real tickle.
Yeah. The real heart. The physical
the real heart. That without it, you would be like, not here.
Yes.
Not here. So it is American Heart Association month.
American Heart Disease Awareness Month, right?
See, there you go. So those are other things that go on in December, but very, very important. Did I go all the way to December?
Yeah, you did.
We bringing it back. We moving forward.
February.
Yeah.
February.
February.
Not December.
Yeah.
February. Another thing that goes on in February and still really, really important, especially since it affects our people, Black people, African people of African descent, in such a different way.
Right. We are disproportionately affected. That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then in trying to get a grasp on heart disease and how we can head it off, or or how we can make sure we're healthier, or if we're even predisposed to it, and not even know it, like
Right.
if you don't know your family history,
Correct.
and not just where your people came from, but it's so important to know what health issues kind of ran
Right.
down your
Your
lineage,
family. Exactly.
and things like that. So here to discuss that with us is Dr. Baker, who I listen to all the time. Me and my sister, we got COVID shots because Dr. Baker was like, well, get this one. Well, Dr. Baker, do we have to get the booster? Yes, you need to get the booster. So, okay, well, Dr. Baker said.
I wish everybody would listen to me that way.
Now, we listen to you like that on that, but when it comes to my French fries,
No. Not so much.
Not so much. I tried, Dr. Baker. I tried, but not so much.
Yeah, we got to try hard.
So I guess the first thing I would want to ask is, what exactly is, unhealthy heart or heart disease?
And it can be a lot of things. It can actually be what we call coronary artery disease, which means they are arteries that are in and on your heart that supply blood to the heart. And so you can have disease of those arteries, blockages, which we can talk about in those arteries that decrease the blood flow to the heart. So you could have coronary artery disease. You can actually have disease of the heart itself. The muscles in the heart itself is a pump. It's a muscle. And so you can have disease of, there are 4 walls or chambers in the heart. So you can have diseases of the actual heart muscle. The heart is such an intricate organ. God is just amazing in his creation. But there are valves in those chambers that allow the blood to go in and out, and they have to close at a certain time. They have to open at a certain time. Those can be damaged and create heart disease. So it can be a multitude of things that lead you to then have what we call a cardiac event. And so then, and which would then lead you to heart attack, and then all the subsequent things that happen with that.
Wow.
So it can be a lot, one or more of those things at any given time can lead somebody to have a cardiac event. Yeah.
So when we say cardiac event, are we just saying a heart attack, or are there other kinds of cardiac events?
You can have a cardiac event that doesn't lead to a heart attack, but that's your warning bell that says, okay, you need to start doing some things. People have chest pain or angina, and that may not necessarily have a heart attack. And then that's your heart saying, you need to start paying attention to what's going on here. So yes, so it doesn't always end in heart attack. Your body gives you warning signals to let you know that there's something going on with your heart. Circulatory issues, same kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow. So if we were to, I guess, what leads up to maybe some type of heart disease? Is it something that we do? Is it something that we're born with?
It's all of those things. Part of it is genetics. The way that the DNA got passed down. Unfortunately, our coming to America made that um, worse for us. Our ancestors in Africa, as we know, had very limited disease because of their diet primarily, and so our American African American genetics lead us to be more predisposed to heart disease. So
Mm,
yes, some of it is genetics. Most of it are things that we can reduce and or prevent. Um,
mm,
so most of it comes from things like our diet, for example, the foods that we eat. As we age, the vessels that I talked about that are in and on your heart get cholesterol or plaque in them just
mm,
naturally as you age. You speed that process up when you eat things high in fat, which are red meats, processed meats, lots of oils that are animal oils and aren't vegetable oils. Those that it speeds that process up. So as the cholesterol or plaque builds in those arteries, it narrows that blood vessel in supplying oxygen and blood to your heart. The narrower that blood vessel gets, the less oxygen gets supplied to your heart muscle starts to feel that basically and
mm,
tells you with chest pain.
mm. And so now the is the oxygen in the blood or is
Yeah,
it coming? Okay.
it's in the blood. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so what you want to do is if you're going to get that plaque cholesterol naturally anyway as you age, you want to do the other things to prevent it from progressing or from happening at a faster rate than it will normally happen. And that's where things like diet, exercise, um, sleep, all those things come into play.
So does the plaque ever clear out or
It
once the plaque gets in your heart, it's just there forever for the
it's
rest of your life?
well, it's there, and you can take things to help block more plaque. For example, some of the drugs we take that are called statins, they help block some of the plaque from forming. So
Mhm.
there are things you can do, but once the plaque gets there, you can't necessarily make it go away. You can stop more plaque from forming.
So not like the dentist and cleaning the plaque off your teeth.
No, not. Now you can, if the plaque gets to a point where it narrows the artery and you have symptoms, there are there's treatment there that are surgical treatments that you can have to open that vessel back up, um, that will make the blood flow again. But if you continue to keep the same habits, then plaque is going to grow in another vessel, or that same vessel can get plaque in it again, even with the surgical treatment.
What's that called? An umbrella?
They're actually called
Mhm.
stents. They're called
Stents.
stents.
That's
Right,
correct. Stents.
right. And you put them in to open those vessels back up.
Now, I thought that there's some hmm, more homeopathic ways in terms of eating and drinking certain foods to help clear that plaque and to help that plaque not to grow. Is that correct or incorrect?
Well, there is no science, and here's our thing: there may be. We can say, and that's where you also hear people say this may improve blah, or it
Mhm,
may make. They will never give you a definitive because we don't have a definitive.
mhm,
And the one thing you have to remember is individuals are so unique. And
mhm.
so while a homeopathic method may work for one person, it may not work for another person, even somebody in that same family with the same kind of genetic makeup, because of how individual we are. So there are some things that people say may decrease the plaque, but
Right.
there is no definitive. But I will say on this by the same plane, the the medicines that we have may work for one individual and again may not work for
I
another
was
in
thinking
what
the
they are supposed to do.
same
Yeah,
thing. That's
absolutely.
exactly what I was thinking because it's
Absolutely.
it's all a um
Practice of
practice.
medicine.
Right.
It's
And
all a
that's exactly, and you will that word is never going to go away because
right.
yes, The drug that may work for me may not work for my mother or my sister.
Mhm.
So absolutely. And so we get off that one and we try something else.
So, Dr. Baker, can you speak to how maybe like hypertension and diabetes may play a role in heart disease?
Right. And that's one of the reasons why African Americans are disproportionately affected, because we also have higher incidences of those diseases. Diabetes, for example, what it also does is narrows the blood vessels. And so while people who have diabetes oftentimes talk about numbness and tingling in their fingers, numbness and tingling in their feet. Part of that is because of the circulation, because the blood vessels are narrowing especially when you have uncontrolled diabetes or diabetes that's not managed very well. Those vessels will tend to get narrow, just like if it had plaque in them. And so while it can happen in what we call your peripheral areas, which are your feet and hands, it can also happen in your heart. And so that's why a person who has managed diabetes is at much less risk than someone who has unmanaged or uncontrolled diabetes. Same thing with hypertension. Hypertension tends to narrow blood vessels. And so anytime the blood vessels get narrowed, you're going to have less blood flow through that area, and you're going to have less oxygen because the oxygen is in the blood. Yeah.
And that's why, again, going back to the homeopathic piece, where people who've had those diseases have been able to turn that around based on changing their diets, changing their habits,
Right.
and again, pushing them away from dealing with another serious issue.
Right. And diet is, I'm glad you talked about that, because diet is absolutely one of the things that we know for sure can turn that around. And that's true for hypertension. That's true for diabetes. We know that if you eat, for example, a more plant-based diet, we know that can shift heart disease. We know it can shift hypertension. We know it can shift diabetes. When you eat what we call eating clean. And that means eating things that are unprocessed, eating things that are in the original state in which they were made. So, it's like it's eating fresh peas as opposed to peas that are even in a can. That is always better. If you have no choice, then you rinse the peas from the can. But if you have a choice, fresh is always better. Anything in its original natural state is better.
So
including
it's like
my
fresh,
French
frozen, then canned, right?
Absolutely. It's fresh. And when you say frozen, it's even better if it's flash frozen, which means right when I picked it, I froze it. And so those are even better. Right.
What you said, Lisa?
I said including my French fries.
No, because that is not the original state in which they
put that through a process.
Hold on.
Right.
If I go and get a potato out the garden and cut it up like a French fry and cook it, is that not
peanut oil?
Is that not eating clean?
Yeah, it really isn't, because you have to cook it in peanut oil.
Correct.
You have to cook it in some kind of oil to get it to be a French fry. And here's the other thing that I'll just throw out for free.
I can't bake it in the oven.
You could.
No, you can bake it in the oven. That's actually better. Yeah. But the thing I'll throw out for free is, right, if you eat fried foods that are out in public, and that you didn't make yourself, the oil is being reused. And so you're getting that repeated fat, that repeated hydrogenated oil, which is horrible for you. So, the rule of thumb is never to eat fried food unless you fried it.
Unless you fried yourself.
Right.
Ooh,
right.
That's too much work.
What's the reality? Most people don't do that, but it is the best thing. It's not to eat fried food other than the food that you fry.
That you do.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Is that true?
Again, fresh, and it's not just an apple. It could be a peach. It could be a pear. It could be, in anything. Again, we go back to that original state. If it's the original state is always the best. Yeah.
So you can have. So I think that now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Baker, it is now, instead of disease, is chronic illness. So if you have diabetes, it's a chronic illness, or if you have hypertension, it's a
It's right,
chronic illness,
right,
and
because
instead of,
it
because
never really goes away. I mean,
right,
for
and
many
we
people, it gets
mhm,
controlled. Like I have controlled hypertension. So if I and if I gain weight, my blood pressure goes up.
Mhm.
If I stop taking my medicine, my blood pressure goes up. And so I have to live because chronic illness means you are living with it. And
mhm.
so I am living with hypertension. I'm living well with hypertension because I exercise, because I try to eat clean as 90% of the time. I do take the medicines that are prescribed for me, but I do all the things that I should be doing myself to help that be manageable. Because one of
Mhm.
the things about chronic illnesses that's bad is when we have the highs and lows, like
Oh,
Mm.
diabetes.
yeah.
Well, if you maintain your blood sugar, much better than if your body has to react every time you get a high low, and that's a worse thing than if you were maintaining an even blood sugar, for example.
And so that is what could lead to the heart disease.
Right. When you
Is
have
you
any of
not
those things
controlling it.
uncontrolled, absolutely.
Mhm.
Uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension, even something like sleep. People who
Yep.
go who are sleep deprived
Yep.
can have cardiac abnormalities, abnormal heart rates
Mhm.
because they are sleep deprived. Your body has to recover and it has to sleep to do that.
Yeah, I went to see a sleep specialist, and that was one of the things they talked about. So,
Right. People miss how
because-
important sleep is. Yeah.
oh
And not
yeah,
just
oh yeah,
lounging like I'm sitting watching TV. I'm not motion. I'm not doing anything, but actual close your eyes and
Right.
you kind of don't know where you are, kind of
Right.
sleep.
That kind of sleep where your body does your pulse rate goes down, your all of your organs start to kind of just relax and that gives them time to recover from what they've been through during the day to keep
Mhm.
you upright and mobile. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what's the suggested amount of sleep that you should get?
You really, and even in adults, kids need more, but even adults need at least 7 to 9. They really for recovery. Now, you can sleep whatever, but you really need. I would say the minimum you need 7 for recovery. For recovery of your body, you need 7.
Does it matter when?
No, not really, not really, because the other thing is your body gets on a rhythm, and that if you do it consistently, that becomes your rhythm. Like there are
Mhm.
people who I used to work night shift, for example. I worked 7 at night to 7 in the morning, so my sleep was from 9 to 5 during the day, and my
Mm.
body adjusted to that. Now,
Hmm.
what happened when you flip the other way, though, and that's when your body takes some time to has to readjust, like what's going on. But so it doesn't. The time doesn't really matter. The duration matters.
Yeah.
So there's another piece in just taking naps, um, and the benefits of actually taking a nap during the day.
Right?
But
Because it recharges. Your
yeah,
body still does the same thing. And so you wake up. Most people now, and it depends on how you nap. Like we're not talking 3 hours because that's not really a
nah,
nap. That's going to
15
bed.
minutes, 20
Right.
minutes.
But
Yeah.
if you can get a 15, 20-minute nap, for many people, it recharges your battery, especially if you've hit a lull in your day. Yeah.
So I remember when I was in Seattle, it was you're talking about years and years and years of East Coast time and trying to get that sleep over there with the 3 hour difference.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It is
Like
hard.
it was like some nights I really could not sleep because it was like, wait, am I supposed to be up? Or I mean, my body was just like, what you
Confused.
doing?
Yeah.
Right. It's the rhythm that your body has established, and then you switched it. And so it does. It takes a long time to readjust.
It was really strange though, because
Mhm.
it's just technically it's just 3 hours difference, but I honestly, and I was there for 2 years, I don't think I ever really fully got the hang of it. I would have to
Mhm.
be like up for 3 days, and then I'm like,
Then
you
you
know,
zombied out.
crashing. Yeah.
Your
Right.
body said
Yeah.
you're gonna go to sleep.
Right.
Right,
Exactly. Right
right.
now.
I mean, and I could be like really trying to
Uh-huh.
go to sleep. It's like, yeah, no, I'm supposed to be up around this time.
Right. Exactly.
That's really, but yeah, so rest.
Rest.
Um,
What
so
you
tell
eat.
us a little bit about the exercise part.
Right. Well, because again, we said, remember, your heart is a pump.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a muscle. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you work a muscle appropriately, it functions better. Now, when you overwork it, just like when we overwork any other muscle, it gets tired. And the other thing that exercise does is it lowers your bad cholesterol by the mere fact of, and you, there are two kinds of cholesterol, and one is HDL, one is LDL. And I always remember H high, you want the H to be high, L low, you want the L to be low. And so it lowers your LDL. Exercise does that by doing physical activity. It also decreases your weight, because we know that the other things related to heart disease is being overweight and obese. And so it also helps you manage your weight. Now, you also, diet and exercise go together. You cannot do the two of them alone, or you should not. You can, but you shouldn't. And so they go together. And so so exercise helps. It also helps with stress hormones. Stress hormones, cortisol, for example, is very bad for our body. So what exercise does is it helps reduce those stress hormones. And so in reduction of those stress hormones, it reduces the work that your heart has to do to function.
Mm.
And it does overall just make you feel better.
Mm-hmm. And then
It
you
just
know the other thing
overall
is
makes you
most
feel
that you have to do like heavy workout session.
right. Absolutely
Sometimes
not.
it's just a walk, just taking a walk, 10-minute walk. It does or a 5-minute walk. Just doing it consistently makes a difference too.
Right. The two things for exercise and for diet, well, and just for lifestyle, are consistency and discipline.
Mhm.
Those are the two things.
Hate that word.
Discipline.
Which one?
Both.
Discipline.
Both.
Discipline. You know, when you get grown, you just feel like I can do whatever I want to do. But and it's been the word actually has been screaming at me for the last year. It's like discipline, discipline, discipline. I'm like, I know, but I'm grown. I do what I want to do.
You're not grown. And that's the word. And grown is adulting.
Right.
Yes.
Adulting, you got to be disciplined. You got to follow the rules, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
Yes. Good.
which is interesting because we follow the rules for everything else.
Mhm. You do.
Oh, they tell you got to be here on this time and you got to leave at this time, and you do it without you. Okay, I got to do it. I get my check and do this, and
Not me, France. I'm terrible.
but you know, again, we'll do it for other folks. We'll go the extra mile for everybody else but ourselves.
But ourselves. Right.
Are you going to take the time out to say, okay, I need to walk.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to eat this right. You know,
right.
We don't want to take away all your French fries, but instead
Please
of doing
don't take away my French fries. Hey, Shima.
Hey.
And it's, as we talk about
the week, one day.
It's
but
everything in moderation. And so we're not saying never eat a French fry ever again in your life. That's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is don't eat French fries Monday through Saturday.
Right.
Yeah. Like, so you try, and here's the thing, you try to eat clean. And we talked about like 6 days a week, and give yourself, people call it a cheat day. I wouldn't, because when people do cheat days, they basically like lose their minds.
Right.
It's like, but just have the thing that you have wanted, or that is French fries that are your thing. Have them that one day, one meal, and then go back to your clean eating. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because discipline is practice. It builds. You're not going to wake up one day and be disciplined. It doesn't happen like that. And same thing with, you have to practice it. Yeah.
It really doesn't. But, it's also I know we say the 21 days, you could create a habit or you could break a habit or whatever. I grew up cooking every day between me and my sister. My mom only cooked on Sunday dinner, once we learned how.
Mhm.
For, a family of 7 folks, 7 people in the house, cooking every day. You had that routine on Saturday where you cleaned up the house and all of
Yep.
that. And
Mhm.
but when I tell you that was easy to break when I got grown, you would think because it's in my body, right,
Yeah.
That you would
that I
keep
would
that up.
still do that. Nah.
Well, I think too, lifestyle changes is that as well. You're
Sure.
busy, you're working, and the fast food industry is not working for you, is working against you. So we
Sure.
need to get it fast. And I don't have time. Like I said, we put time for everything else except for the time we need to put for
Yeah.
ourselves. So,
Yeah.
Right.
how can I set this time apart? Just to take care of me. I had a friend who was doing planned meals.
Mhm. Meal prepping.
Man, you got to be disciplined to have
Right.
that same meal every single day, and then you get
You
that one
really
cheat day.
do. You really do.
But can I tell you, it really does work. And I'm a person who doesn't do leftovers.
Right.
So I don't do the same thing every day, but I'll do like 2 meals for 6 days. So I'll make 2 meals for the week, and then I can eat them 3 days, and then I can eat them 3 days, and then that one day I eat whatever I want. But I
Right.
alternate them because if I eat the same thing, it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister, on the other hand, can eat her 3 meals, the same 3 every day, and then go to the second. It really is just about knowing yourself
Sure.
and then making the clean eating work for you.
And we were like that too. So with the leftover part, when you got 7 people in the house, you don't. When I used to say I don't eat leftovers, he'd be like, "Oh, you bougie?" I'm like, "No, we just never learned how to do it
Because you didn't have any
because
left.
it wasn't food left." You got a house with
Oh.
a dad and 2 boys.
Yeah, no. No
They
food left.
they polished off.
Everything.
Polished off. Yeah. Oh, good, Shima. I'm glad you're learning something. That's good.
Yes,
Good.
ma'am.
Yeah, I think you're right. It depends on the person and what
But
works
yeah, it
best for
depends
you.
on how you grew up and
Mhm.
just different things like that. The only time we really kind of had leftovers was like, Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever. And even then we were like, okay, like by Friday evening, it
Got
was
them
like,
up.
yeah, we need something else,
Right,
that
right.
sort of thing. But you do learn, how to do that. So if you, Dr. Baker, were to say to someone who is trying to reverse or prevent or do what's in their power to do
Mhm.
to prevent heart disease, what kind of advice would you give them?
I think the number one thing I could say, because I can't really stress enough what you put in your mouth, how critically important that is. I would say if you're going to do one thing, try to move yourself to plant-based eating. I would absolutely say that. Move yourself and again, you can't do it cold turkey because you'll go back to your former habits. But okay, say have a meatless Monday. Say, okay, we're not doing meat on Monday. Or we're not going to do pork or beef. Like just start to just wean yourself of those things. And then you'll get to the point where, okay, I don't eat pork or beef. And now I'm only eating chicken, turkey, and fish.
Yeah.
And then you go to lean cuts of chicken, turkey, and fish. So instead of always getting the thigh and the leg, which are the fattiest parts of the chicken, then you go to the breast and the wing. So and then instead of frying every meat, fry maybe one. And so just kind of, but I say getting yourself to plant. Oh, someone I guess our lamb chops good. They are they taste good probably. I don't eat lamb, so I can't tell you. But lamb still is a fatty kind of meat. It's not as fat as duck. Like duck is super fat.
I love
people love duck. Duck is super fattening. Like
So
it's a fat bird.
So with the meat part, and I don't mean to cut you off, but just since we right here, because I am definitely a carnivore.
I know.
I'm sorry. I did give up my pork chops and my bacon as much as I used to because of the hypertension. I can't, eat that as I used to eat bacon every day. And my doctor
Mhm.
said, you gotta stop doing
No,
that.
Yeah,
stop the bacon.
yeah.
Stop.
I
Just
love
stop it.
bacon.
Just don't do
So
it.
I love food, period.
Mhm.
So hey. But so are you saying you're not saying that we have to become vegetarian or
Absolutely not.
anything like
No,
that?
I'm just saying increase your intake of vegetable of fruits and
Okay.
vegetables, plants, because we do a poor job of eating plants. We
Yeah.
really do. We think, oh, I ate a salad today. Okay, you ate a salad, but what kind of lettuce was it? If you ate
Iceberg.
iceberg lettuce,
Yeah.
absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever.
Right.
Right.
And so, and then one salad a day is not going to do it. If you ate um, fried pork chops and mashed potatoes with your salad, you know what I'm saying. So you
Yeah.
have to, yeah. It's about moving more of your plate should be from the ground, plants,
Mm.
than animals. That's what we're talking about. And so just moving, and you have to change your mindset too, and you have to try new things. Like I hated avocados, like I just
I love
and I
avocados.
thought, and you know what, and then and my friend introduced me to them in all different kinds of ways you can, and I thought, why did I hate avocados? I never
Yeah.
had an avocado.
Yeah.
Now I absolutely love avocados. Slice it and just put it on a plate with a little bit of pink salt, just a little bit. Sometimes avocado toast. I make my own guacamole.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
fabulous. I love avocados. I
I
use it
eat it
instead of
on the
mayo on
turkey
my
and the
sandwich.
bacon sandwich.
Listen, we had an
Lord,
avocado tree growing. We had trees growing up. So when
wow.
it's avocado season, I just pull it off the tree, open it up, and eat it just like that.
Yeah, it is
It
fabulous.
is,
It's
and with a
fabulous
piece
as
of
a
bread.
spread.
Oh
Mhm.
Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so the
Oh
texture.
Lord.
But it
Tomatoes,
and
same
it's but you eat mayonnaise, right?
No.
No mayonnaise ever.
not
I
a big
so I cook with
Because I
mayonnaise. Like
substituted
I'll
mayonnaise for
make a
avocado.
salad with mayonnaise or something like that.
Mhm.
But just to like put mayonnaise on a sandwich, I
No,
don't really do
okay,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was big for me because I love mayo. All right.
Oh, well, okay,
Oh,
man.
congratulations. I
Yes.
love it.
Wow,
Love it.
that's
Yes.
Love it.
awesome.
Miss Wilson, that's what I'm talking
Now,
about.
Yvette, could you really afford to lose 13 pounds? We went to high school together. I don't think she had 13 to lose in high school. That's
Listen, every pound
awesome. That is
matters.
Yeah,
Every
that
awesome.
is
pound
awesome.
matters. And
So,
everybody's different. So,
Right.
yeah, raw diet,
Oh,
raw
yes.
food diet. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because here's the other thing. One of the things that help that are is a problem with gaining weight is what we call transit time. How long does food stay in your gut? And
Mm,
beef, for example, takes 3 days to digest in your gut.
mm.
And so vegetables obviously go out.
in and
You
out.
get what you need from them, and
Yeah.
they're gone. And so that's how you can lose 13 pounds in 13 days if you did raw food. You get all the
Um,
nutrients you need, your body will take them, and then the rest of it gets rid of. It does that much more efficiently with plants than it does with meat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so is my
So a good
potato a
smoothie.
plant?
What you think the smoothie done?
Well, smoothies that you make at home,
Yes.
yeah, those are obviously much better than if you go to tropical. Tropical is loaded with sugar, obviously. But if you
Yeah.
make smoothies at home, yeah, you have to be
Well,
careful
the thing
because
about
sometimes,
tropical too, you could tell them to no sugar and substitute it for
right,
honey. I do that
you
a
can.
lot.
You can't do that. Yeah, you can do that. But making them at home obviously is better but you have to just be careful about not using so much of the high sugar fruit.
I hear
Yeah.
you, Yvette. I know you got them 3 boys.
Man, man, congratulations.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah.
But that honey's
So,
still good for you, Doc. What you said, the honey
Yeah,
is
it is good for you. No, honey is good for you. It's a much better sugar than raw than the process. Just because, like we said, anything that's original versus what's processed.
right.
so if you were just to kind of start with in the baby steps, start with the food.
Right.
So as much plant-based as you can,
Mhm.
not saying that you got to get rid of meat altogether.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Try not to fry.
Try not to fry.
Mhm.
Um,
But if you're going to fry,
I was about to say,
yeah,
if you
you're
are going to fry,
the oils that you want to use are like grapeseed and olive. Those are the best in terms of
I
good
can't fry
good
no
fat.
piece of catfish in no olive oil
Why?
because it don't deep fry like that.
I was told recently that olive oil was not a good oil to cook with, to fry with. And I like that. Air fry.
No,
Use an
I'm
air
not air
fryer.
frying.
Yeah. I don't fry anything, so I don't, I use olive oil just like if I'm gonna make like
I cannot put a piece of catfish in the air fryer. That
Yes,
don't
you
make
can.
sense.
It
No,
actually
it does
works.
not make sense.
It
Okay.
doesn't make sense, but it works.
Well,
Where's
then put
the
it in the
crispy?
oven.
Put in the oven. That's another
Put it
one.
in the oven.
The crispy is going to be
That
there
is
with
a
the
baked
air
fish.
fryer.
That is not a fried fish.
Okay,
No.
then.
A
There we
fried
go.
fish, you can fry a fish in a air fryer.
I understand you, Shima.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
can. You can do just about anything in the air fryer that you would fry with oil.
Listen, that air fryer took over the stove. It's retiring the stove. There's women out here that don't know how to
Air
use the
frying
stove.
works. Okay,
All
Darlene,
right,
sure.
there we go.
Look, even
There go
Darlene,
your
what's up?
Hey, Darlene.
I'm telling you. Yeah, these
Yeah, it
women
does.
who don't even know how to use a stove, but they know how to use
They're
the
not
air
air
Okay,
fryer.
so I'm gonna tell y'all this. So
and
my
men.
sister, Tasha, my other sister, she did air fry some chicken.
Okay.
That was not fried chicken to me.
Well, it depends on how she did it. She might have changed it up a little bit to make it a little bit more
And
healthier.
I had to make her put that thing in there twice. It did not look done.
Well, listen, go to YouTube University.
Yeah, there's an art to air frying. There's an art to it.
Yes.
Yes, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good. That's
Right,
good, Yvette.
Right.
Yes.
And see, something like that, that's adding years to your life right there.
Yeah.
Adding years to your life.
Okay, Shima, bring me some air fried chicken. Let me see what that is.
Okay, so the first thing, Lorraine, you got to start with
said,
is right here.
She is right. She is right. I have a
I was gonna get the one Emerald got. It air fry
No.
do that.
No. I got it. Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. It's
You
too big.
Really?
Takes up too much space, and it doesn't do any better than that little one with the pull-out thing.
The little one with the pull-out, I don't like as much because it's a lot of plastic. So the one that I got was the what is this thing? Now you got to be. I got to get up.
Now you gotta go and get
up. That's when you're in the kitchen. You can find
Now
out.
in the kitchen, you can pull it out. You can pull it out.
The one thing I was gonna say is
Gina
oil
said
is
she got
oil.
hers off of Amazon.
Okay.
Okay, I got the Ninja.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I got the Ninja. And this is the one that's also like a toaster. You can flip it up so it's not taking too much counter space. It does several other things besides.
There we go.
You're
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
Yvette.
You are
right.
so right.
Absolutely.
Adjust your mind.
But I'm grown, so I get to do whatever I want.
There are so when you really start to get excited.
Sure.
Because I did eggplant lasagna.
Oh,
so instead of the lasagna noodles, I used eggplant, and it was amazing.
I imagine that's probably pretty good. Except for, did you use hamburger or did you use fake meat?
Absolutely not. I did not use hamburger since I don't eat hamburger.
So what type of meat did you end up using?
I didn't. It was vegetable lasagna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was vegetable lasagna.
So you use mushrooms.
With a piece of fried chicken.
Zucchini, carrot. Like I put everything in the sun. Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Love it. What do you think about the Beyond Meat?
She would say it's not fake meat.
Fake meat.
I just thinking that. You were eating this
It's fake
Beyond
meat
Meat.
to me, Shim. I'm sorry.
all of the meat alternatives, which is what we call them, all of the meat alternatives, I think you have to look at what works for you. Many of them are soy based. I personally can't do soy or try to limit my soy because it's not great for you. So many of them are soy based. Some of them are wheat gluten based. Like if you've heard of seitan is wheat gluten based. And so if if you have gluten allergies, obviously you can't do it.
Yeah,
I prefer that one because I don't do soy. Some of them are made with beans or pea proteins. Like there, and there's a black-based company that I absolutely love. It's a brother and sister. They do a meat alternative with pea protein. And so there's no soy, there's no wheat, and it is amazing. The texture is amazing and the taste is amazing. So it's about finding the one that works with you. I don't like Beyond Meat, but that's a personal preference. Yeah.
Well, we got to be careful now because now they're trying to use plastics, having us eat plastics. I'm like,
Well, you don't know if you're eating that anyway. I'm just going to be straight.
That's true.
That's true.
If you eat at a restaurant, you don't know what you're eating.
You really don't.
So, so beyond moving. Oh, Yvette is getting me. It does, grown or not.
Yeah,
she is so right. She is so
You're right.
You're on point, Yvette. You're on point.
And I would make a friendly amendment to that. Instead of a month, do it day by day.
No.
Take it step by step.
So the thing is, y'all know I'm just joking because it really is. It's lifestyle. It is finding a way to adjust to it, and making it a part of your lifestyle. Because a lot of times you have the best intentions.
Absolutely.
And then your day, your whatever, it gets away from you, you're working. And it just becomes so much easier. Now I do make healthier choices. You still, everybody not perfect like you, friends. We all got to get there.
What I got to say is,
but my choices. Hold on, let me say this. My choices and where I go to get and what I get change. Right.
Well, that's a good step. That's a good first step.
So
I agree.
So that is part of it. So yes, it's still hard to cook for one person. I don't care what nobody say. It is really hard to cook for one person. But in trying to get to the point where you can do the meal prep part of it, like, okay, I know I'm cooking for one person, so let me go ahead and just buy the little containers and just put all of this up. Whether I have to put it in the freezer or whether I have, could put it in the refrigerator for later or whatever. So I've done that. Like I cook a pot of chili and I'll put it up in the freezer. So if I just want a bowl, I put it in a bag that's like a 1 serving kind of bag or whatever. So, you just do kind of different stuff. I get that. But just the whole trying to get a handle on it can be a little rough getting started, especially when you don't just. So Dr. Baker can attest to this. We're not people that just work that one job. We work 9 to 5 and we come home. No, we have job, we have church, we have social services org, we have our own. I have my own creative stuff I'm doing. So when you talk about trying to pull that time out to cook or that time out to try to meal prep or whatever, you just kind of have to, again, the word that's been screaming at me for
discipline.
a whole year is the discipline part. And so, you just got to do it. And I totally get that.
And add intentional to that, because you have to be intentionally disciplined.
Right.
Like with the cooking for one person, people at Publix, the guy in the seafood department hates me because I will go in there when I was just living by myself and get 4 ounces of a piece of fish. And I want 4 of those, but I want you to individually package them.
Right.
and they would have a fit. But then I don't want to have to figure it out when I get home how much it's for. I want to use that one piece of fish and cook it and be good. And I make them break up packages, all of that. And so yeah, it's being intentional and being disciplined.
Right.
It's hard.
Girl, what's a day off? What's a weekend?
But you know what? Here's the thing.
But yeah, in discipline, you got to learn how to say no sometimes too.
But you also have to plan, right? So
Sure.
even tonight, I got home. I literally just got here. I'm like, oh, got to get on the show, whatever. I was like, you know what? I'll go get something after the show. And I said, no, you know what? I have some vegetables here. I can make a smoothie before I go to sleep tonight. And all the things that I need are literally in my fridge. And it's because we went to the store and got the stuff prior to.
Yeah.
So I know I have it, so I can go ahead and make it versus let me just take the easy way out and just go pick something up.
Yeah,
Right.
and it is.
So-
I mean, it is convenient. It's easy. It's oh my God, I'm tired
Mhm.
and I still need to eat. So it's like, am I gonna have 30 to 45 hour to when you cook?
Hour,
Sometimes it take a minute.
which is crazy because you know most of the meals don't take no more than 30 to 45 minutes
Sure.
to actually set up, put in
Sure.
place.
Yeah.
So you
Sure.
think- in our minds, we're like, oh, it's gonna take all day to make this thing. And most
But
of them is like,
if you think about it though, friends, you get home, like you say, you just got home. It's
Mhm.
8 o'clock. It's 8:30. Then you're gonna add an hour onto that, which means you're gonna eat at 9:30.
yeah, I'm fine
So
with
it's like, you know,
it. Yeah.
It's the
so
trade-off.
so
Yeah.
it's not that you don't know, it's not that you may not be trying, but you just gotta kind of have to be a little creative with it. And then sometimes I think when you do get a day off, you like, oh, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah. I want to add though that you could
Sure.
also add fasting to that as well. You know, sometimes like we got to eat, but sometimes we need to take a break and know how to eat. You know, I'm gonna give my body a chance to rejuvenate, get this stuff out of my system before I put something back into my body. So I think that's also important in terms of
So
us
Dr.
understanding that.
Sure. So Dr. Baker, when does the fasting part kind of borderline on being not good for you? Or is there a time of that? Because
Well,
I know when we were talking with Coach Patterson
Mhm.
about your body being in starvation mode or hoarding or holding, you know, when do you get to that part?
And I think you get there when again, it's individual for everybody. But when you get there, when you have a sustained period where you have had nothing, you know, the one thing that Coach Patterson also talked about was exercising
Okay.
early in the morning and don't eat before you exercise because your body will then use fat because you've used up all your stores that day before. So if you get up that morning and exercise, your body's going to use fat to do for the energy. And then you go eat. And so, but I think it's sustained because you hear people talk about intermittent fasting and how that can be good for you. Again, that is very individual. Some people intermittently fast in the morning, and so they'll skip the morning meal and won't eat till lunch, and they'll see some changes in their body. And so that works for them. There are some people that doesn't work for, that they could do that and they wouldn't lose weight, for example. But I think when you have sustained, and your body is so on point, it will tell you when you need to put something in it. You start to feel lightheaded. You get brain fog. Like in the morning, some people have to eat in the morning to rev their brain. And it's about how you're wired. And so you have to pay attention to your body and know your body to be able to say, my body is wired that I have to have something in the morning or I'm good till noon. And then you can intermittently fast. But I think you have to pay attention to your body. Yeah.
And does any of that
understanding your body type?
I'm sorry?
Understanding your body type.
Right, right.
Understanding that, you know, I'm a mesomorph
Or
or
endomorph or ectomorph. Yeah,
endomorph, right?
yeah.
And in knowing that, you say, okay, this is how I'm going to eat. This is how I need
Get
to
your yaya tada what?
That's for another show.
Yeah, it is. But it's like, are you pear shaped? Are you apple shaped? Are you those kind of things? And there is
Okay.
a certain, you know, people believe that you fast based on your body type.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, can this help or hurt with preventing or not preventing heart disease?
The fasting, you mean?
Yeah.
Not really. It really is about what you eat, not so much
Okay.
when you eat it, but about what you eat.
Okay.
Prevention and reduction of heart disease is absolutely about what you eat, and it's about avoiding processed, avoiding salt, avoiding large amounts of red meat.
Tell her again, no salt fry.
Oh, I don't put salt
Oh
on
yes,
my
you don't put
fries.
salt on them. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and really, you know, people talk about salting. Salting is really less salt than the food that already has salt in it. That's what you have to pay attention to. How much salt is in something you buy off the shelf? And so you
Yeah.
must read labels when you go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And there are things that are loaded. Frozen foods, for example, meals are
Yeah.
loaded
Yeah.
with sodium,
It's the
with salt.
Yeah.
preservative.
Right,
Because
right.
I used to do that with just in helping me keep track of being on meals, you know, get those Michelina dinners and you know, stuff like that. Cause I'm not a good I eat when I'm hungry, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm not hungry till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is it could be sporadic, you know. So I used to do those dinners to try to keep me in some kind of breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of thing. But like you said, they were so filled with sodium that just
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I'm like shooting the blood pressure through the roof with these things.
Right,
It's
right.
ridiculous.
When I was
And
in
the
college, I used to eat those hot pockets, not
I used to eat
knowing
hot
oh,
pockets.
them things was loaded
Yeah,
loaded.
with
yeah,
Yeah,
salt.
yeah.
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 So we are a little bit because we talked to France. He always a little bit over our time, but can you speak to so we get the food thing kind of working and under
Right.
control. Um, what would be a good moderate kind of getting into the exercise piece?
I think walking is the best. If you have
You're right,
not,
Yvette.
yeah, if you've not exercised, walking, I think is the best thing. And you know, obviously, you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to stroll like take like you're walking through the park kind of thing. If you need to start there, then absolutely start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's better than doing nothing. You
Mm,
want to get to a point in your walking where it's difficult for you to have a sustained conversation in terms of your pace. That's where you want to work towards. And so, and 2 15-minute walks a day if you can. You don't have to do a 30-minute or an hour long walk. Do a 15-minute walk at your break at work and then do one when you come home and you're good. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you want to start. Anything that gets your heart rate up. And then you also want to do, if you can, some strength training. And that doesn't necessarily, mean you got to go bench press 300 pounds. It's about just you can use your body weight even to start, but it's about building strength, because what happens is as you build a little bit of muscle, your body just looks like you're thinner
Mhm.
because muscle takes up less space.
mm,
People will say, "Oh, muscle weighs more than fat," and that's why. But muscle takes up less space. That's why people who used to look at somebody and they weigh 150 pounds in their muscle, and they're like, "You don't look like you weigh 150 pounds." It's because the muscle takes up less space. And strength training also makes your heart healthier. So you want to do some kind of strength training 1 to 2 days a week to start, and then walk, and then build yourself up.
I want to add too, JT was doing 100 push-ups every day, and that's a good one. You could do 100 or you could do 50.
Right. Absolutely.
But the American Heart Association gave one that was really good and fun, is jump roping.
Yes.
And you don't even have to have a jump rope. You could do air
Right.
jumping,
or hula hooping.
Hula
all
hoop.
Moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, hula
So
hoop.
like Michelle Obama says, you just got to get your body moving.
moving
Right.
or
Move.
dancing, just dancing in your house to
Mhm.
whatever you want to dance to.
Yeah,
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 yeah. It's about
yeah.
getting your heart to start paying, to do something to recognize, oh, I'm moving my body, and
Yeah.
it starts to act accordingly. Yeah.
So if how do we support, and this is gonna be the last question because France be taking us way over time all
You,
the
you, you, you
time.
see where it's coming from now, Doc. You see where it's
I,
coming
I
from.
do, I do.
There it is. There it is.
So um how do we support a family, a friend, loved one, or whatever that may have heart disease?
um it's important to be an accountability partner. Everybody needs one, not just people who have heart disease, just in life you need somebody who holds you accountable. So I think if your family member has heart disease, one of the hardest things for people to do who have heart disease is that cardiac recovery. Like, it's like my body now is different, it's more I get tired more easy, so then you just want to sit. Well, that is the worst thing you can do. You need to start moving, even if it's very, very small increments. And so I think the one thing that you can do to support somebody who actively has heart disease is to be their accountability partner, their support partner, and do the exercises with them. Um, Pick a time every day that you're going to do them, and hold yourself to that time, and don't let anything deter you, unless it's an emergency, from doing
Mhm,
that. If we're going to exercise at 7:30, we're going to exercise at 7:30. So I
mhm,
think, though, I think that's the best support you can give. And then to be the role model, which is really the hardest thing,
mhm,
is to be the person to, you know to to eat the things that they're supposed to be eating, and to do the things they're supposed to be doing. Modeling that behavior in front of them, I think, is like one of the most important things you can do, in addition to being their support and accountability partner.
mhm. Okay, and this really is gonna be the final question. Warning signs. I think that was what I definitely wanted to ask you.
Okay,
What would
four.
for for me, what would be a warning sign, or
Mhm.
what do I look for in somebody else who may not be, or who may say, "Oh, I felt such and such." Oh, but it's probably nothing. Like, what would be some of the
Right.
signs that would make you say, "Okay, I need to go to the doctor," or "You need to go to the doctor"?
Right. And it's different for men and women.
Sure.
Men get, when there is significant heart disease going on, men will get the classic things: chest pain, that feels like someone put something right in the middle of your chest, on your breastbone, and you feel that pressure. Men will get that, and that's very classic for men. And shortness of breath that's prolonged, and that you didn't do anything for.
Mm,
Your heart racing when you're still.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of classic symptoms for men. For women, they can have those symptoms. Traditionally, they have different symptoms. Women will get jaw and neck pain when there is a cardiac something going on. Very different from what a man would get, and very typically for women, which is why we die quite frequently from heart disease. Something like that is very benign, and so you just go lay down, and that is a classic sign that there is some blockage at that point. And so when you
mhm.
hear when women go to the ER, for example, that's the one of the things they report: neck pain, jaw pain, back pain.
Wow.
But they can also have chest pain, shortness of breath when they're still heart racing, that kind of thing.
Back pain in which area? Upper back, lower back,
Usually
mid
it's
back?
upper. Usually it's
Yeah.
upper. Hmm.
When your mama say you got gas.
Well, even
Well, and
sometimes they do have gas.
right, sometimes it is gas. But
Yeah.
like you say, oh, I have indigestion. Well, it could very well be indigestion.
Yeah.
But if you take something, or most times you drink something that makes the gas bubble or whatever go away, and you're better, then that's one thing. But many times it doesn't.
Hey, it's
She
part of
was
life.
like, what are y'all talking? And she
So
said
she was
swelling.
that swelling.
Absolutely. When you have
Okay.
that means there's something going on with your circulatory system, and you're not moving fluid through the entire parts of your body. You sit down for a long time, or even if you're standing and your feet are like unusually swollen, that's not normal. Yeah.
Wow, this has been really, really good. Good information. I really appreciate you coming, hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we really got to pay attention to our bodies, definitely, and try to find a way to. So, do we just keep screaming this from the, from
And
the
that's what we
rafters to
right.
take care of your heart, take care of your heart, take
Absolutely.
care of
And
your
keep
heart. Matters of the heart is so
so important.
important.
Right.
Because without, if that muscle doesn't work well, then nothing else really works well.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. And you have to, one of the things I have been saying to myself since the year started was a healthier me in 2023.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that means healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. That's my goal. And I think that should be the goal that we're all striving for.
Yeah.
for
And
this
I
year.
think we are. We definitely have to add this to our list of things, France,
Right.
that we talk about.
And
we
encourage
got to,
one another.
yeah,
Encourage
we
one
got
another.
to,
Support one another.
keep it
Yeah.
going. Just like we
Yeah.
talk about our voting, we got to talk about our health. It's so, so important.
Well, you got me tonight. I was definitely gonna go and cheat, but you know what? We're doing a smoothie tonight.
All right.
Oh, thank you,
We're doing some
Darlene.
beats tonight, Darlene. Love it.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Listen,
You are welcome. I love it.
This was
I love it.
eye-opening. I mean, really, because sometimes you think but
Right.
You have no idea.
you
Right,
have
there
no
we
idea,
go.
and how we can all do so much better.
Right.
Thank you everybody for joining us. If you are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you will never miss another show. Make sure your notifications are on. If you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. Also, make sure your notifications are on. Listen, we are Kitchen Talk CTC on every Conversations That Cook on every platform. So go share, tell somebody about this great show that we have so much fun doing. Even when France and I disagree, we still have so much fun doing it. Thank you, Dr. Baker, so much
You
for
are so welcome.
hanging out with us tonight. It has been
Absolutely.
wonderful. Matters of the heart, they are important. Take care of your heart, people.
Yeah.
Take care of your heart. So we're gonna say good night. We will see you next week.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Bye, Yvette. Bye.
Bye, Yvette.
Bye, guys.